Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. C. Ferrante, and today I'll be taking a look at Incident S4-15A, the crash of the Whiteout. We've only had a limited amount of information surface after the bang, an earth-shattering explosion that rattled level -1's doors. For the longest time, we thought it was some sort of unexplainable cosmic oddity. However, the deeper we explored to try and find out the source of the disturbance, the more we realized that somehow it had caused the Whiteout to cease to exist. I know you're not accustomed to the secret levels, so to elaborate, the Whiteout can be accessed randomly throughout level -1's doors. However, one specific door a mile in, which we had marked for future reference, always leads to the Whiteout without fail. That day, it had led to level -2, so it took us a while to figure out why the Whiteout, and the Blackout to a further extent, had stopped showing its entrances. A few months later, and now we have the full report for you boys back at base. The following document mostly comes from the first-hand message sent by Private Jacob Daniels of the MEG Voluntary Whiteout Explorer Team, who had entered the Whiteout looking for answers as to its existence. Of course, the plan failed. However, before he and the Whiteout went rogue, he managed to send us a message through a message board detailing what went wrong. He never messaged us again. The message itself has been abbreviated for convenience. However, the following is believed to be the true story of what happened in Incident S4-15A, the incident that killed the Whiteout. Begin log. The Voluntary Whiteout Explorer Team were a small group affiliated with the MEG who'd formed a few months ago to try and figure out more information about the Maker's existence. It was a one-way trip for them, as there has never been a way out from the Whiteout. The team was composed of 3 people: Captain Church Knox, Lieutenant Bridge Harp, and Private Jacob Daniels. The 3 had been in the Whiteout for almost a month when the first contact with the Maker had occurred.
In retrospect, I think he was watching us the whole time. We would voluntarily get lost in a whiteout just to talk to him, and he must have realized that early on.
Church was on watch while the others attempted to sleep. They had punched out the lights of the nearest rooms and made a sort of makeshift camping spot. He did not see the Maker approach because of this.
When we woke up, the captain had this strange look in his face. He looked away and told us he had spoken to the Maker. According to him, the Maker sat down and had a talk with him, or at least Church assumed he was the Maker. When he asked if he was, he had told him he was whatever he needed to be, and we still don't know what that means. They talked about things for a while, until the Maker sighed and told him he was aware of why we were there. He had told us we'd all die if we wanted the truth. Church answered for all of us, and he said he'd do what it took. He told him that we need to meet him in the Blackout if we were serious about knowing the truth. Church asked him why he couldn't have just told us right there, and he said, "I can't. It's in my nature." And then according to Church, he left.
The team was initially uncertain about where to go. They had only seen a gray door once in the whole trip and had not encountered any sort of entrance to the Blackout since. However, they decided that the Maker would likely bring them to where they needed to be. Excited about the potential answers as to their most dying questions, the team set off to find the Blackout.
We walked for a few days, and it was so very dull and horrible. We were all ecstatic to gain an inkling of knowledge about the backrooms, yes, but until then, we just had a grueling walk to go through. Going to the Blackout was like a roller coaster. At first you get all excited, but then the ride starts, and we were petrified. When we finally found a gray door, it locked behind us.
The team were affected by the Blackout in ways they had not expected. Only Church had actually been to the Blackout, as he had lived in the Whiteout before the team was formed. Bridge maintained the group's composure to the best of her ability, but according to Jackson, they were nearly dead when they ran into the Maker.
We got lucky, that's all I can say. To the point we hadn't run into a single entity through the whole trip, which is about 2 hours. The Maker was in some kind of boiler room. We saw him wave us in as we ran down the corridor. As soon as the door closed behind us, the screaming stopped and we got a chance to breathe. I'll tell you one thing about the Maker, who was always manipulating reality in subtle ways. Guess just to fuck with us. He never blinked once, and I don't think I heard him breathe at all. Still, as far as reality-bending specters of the backrooms go, he was fairly pleasant. We asked him why he had to take us to the Blackout, and he told us this much.
Well, you fine folks may have guessed already, but the Whiteout it's mine. I wish to hell it weren't, but for now, we're interconnected in many ways. Here, I have some abilities that you'd consider unnatural, but I can speak my mind much better. And besides, you folks got some moxie. You look like you could help me free myself, and well, her.
He pointed to the bride, a ghost that had haunted the Blackout, who had suddenly appeared in the corner nearby. "What the hell is she doing here?" somebody shouted.
I don't know who she is, not really, but I know that she's like me, connected to the Blackout in some personal way. If you folks want the truth, you're going to need to tell her it.
"Okay, what do we need to do?" Church asked. According to the Maker, the Whiteout and the Blackout were intertwined through some celestial bond, as he called it. He told them that while he did not understand the backrooms, he knew the origin of the Whiteout and how to free anyone trapped in it. According to the Maker,
This place is some sort of trap for anyone who dies here. If you die either here or the Whiteout, you're trapped inside it and can't pass on to whatever's next. Me and this bride here were the first to die in our respective levels, or whatever the hell you call this place, and so we are trapped between life and death. If you want to free us all, which I hope to God you do, you're going to have to raise this place to the ground.
the trio agreed that they'd do what it took, wherein they got instructions from the Maker.
There is a place near the middle of the Blackout, the source of all this hell, that acts as an on-off switch for the entire place. I don't entirely know what it is, but I know how to use it. If you can get there, I can tell y'all what you need to do from then on.
The three were then given a functioning compass, which is usually not common within the backrooms, and were told to go north.
We walked north for hours, and we weren't prepared for how heavy it would get. Bridge and Church had guns, but there were always one too many skin stealers to handle. Eventually, our compass started acting up, and we knew we were close. We bust into a large hall which resembled that of a stage, and right as we did, Bridge turned back and ran through the doors, distracting the skin stealers long enough for us to barricade ourselves. I don't know what happened to her after that. In the middle of the stage was some sort of stone button that looked like it's been there for years. The Maker was standing next to it.
This is the part I didn't want to tell you folks, he said. This thing needs a human sacrifice. I told you all you'd die at the end of this, and now one of you will. Whoever lives will hopefully get out of here, he said.
We went back and forth, told him he'd lied to us, and we were all going to die then. But he broke the argument with,
I've been here for years, hundreds of years. I just want to die. Please.
Before I could, Church put his fist on the stone and disappeared.
everything started shaking and rattling. The boards broke loose and the chandeliers crashed. The Maker looked at me and then drifted into the darkness. Everything kept exploding and vibrating, and I fell to my knees. Just as I did, I woke up in the room. There was a door in the room that was locked. I waited for hours until someone eventually opened it and stepped in from the other side. He wore a rugged black suit. He had slicked back hair, and where his face should have been, I couldn't quite discern anything about his facial features. He looked at me and shook my hand.
Mr. Daniels, it is good to finally meet you face to face.
I asked him who he was.
I do not have a name, nor an identity you could understand. My being here is of no importance. However, you are of much importance to me and my colleagues, Mr. Daniels.
I stepped back.
You are a human, I would presume. However, your actions would imply that you are of some power for just being a simple human. You are, after all, the only human to see a passage die.
Passage?
Yes, a passage. The one you call the Whiteout. You have ended its primary function. It was, of course, no use to many. However, the ability to do so at all is in the end quite unusual. You will need to stay in the remains of this passage until we are able to properly identify your origin. It would be reckless to leave such a powerful being at large, after all.
The door closed behind him. When I opened it, it led to the Whiteout. I have a feeling I'll be the last to see this place. I doubt that entrances are still present after all this has happened. I wish the best of luck to MEG, because whatever I saw is very aware of them now.
End log. The Whiteout is presumably gone, and the Blackout has likely been taken with it. It is unclear how we can apply this information to the rest of the backrooms, or if it is possible to do the same with any other levels. The more questions this has answered for us, the more it has given us in the process. We remain woefully in the dark as to the identity of the man in the suit, or the current state of Daniels. End of Incident Log S415A.